If there's one thing I enjoy a lot in anime, it's watching characters grow. I don't mean it literally, though it's certainly an excellent way to show time passing, such as with Fullmetal Alchemist. No, what I'm talking about is character growth. The way the people we follow in these anime mature and come to understand themselves and the world around them more as we watch. This is why I enjoyed watching shows like Tengatoppa Gurren Lagann or Naruto, for example. Why I suggested people give Boruto time, and why Himouto Umaru-chan Season 2 is much better than a lot of people have been giving it credit for. In the first season, as many people who have since abandoned the series know, Umaru was a spoiled brat, with an annoying voice and childish desires when she was in her gremlin form. She was lazy, she was conceited, horrible to her brother, and had no self-reflection or view on the outside world that matched her supposed age. While she was perfect when she wasn't home, it was just an act, a separate identity entirely, physically shown on screen with her growing and shrinking depending on her mood. Even her disguise as Umaru was just another way to disassociate herself from who she is so others would know her true self, a bit of a combination of the previous two. These different personalities she creates are not only used to help herself, thankfully, but they're also used to connect to the various characters Umaru meets throughout the series. To her, each offers various benefits toward her friends. Her small gremlin form, for example, lets Kirei become more comfortable around her, and learn to enjoy life and friendship. Her perfect form attracts the friendship of Ebina as a goal in life, and a nice safe person to practice not being so shy with. Finally, her UMR form lets Sylphin actually achieve a solid bond over their interest in video games and anime that wasn't attainable because she tried so hard to be competitive with literally everyone. All of this just in the first season. And building upon these friendships, the second season pays off each relationship Umaru has with the character her different forms are attached to, and it even manages to make her reflect on the actions her forms have on herself. In other words, just as each character learns from Umaru, she learns from them as well. After all, it's said that one needs a mirror held up to them by another person, because humanity will always try to set itself just the right way so it looks like the best light individually. With this comes the character growth I was talking about, as each character gains something they wouldn't have had without that mirror held up in front of them. Kirei, for example, has, through her interactions with Umaru, gained more confidence in herself as a person. She actually takes the initiative more after watching Umaru's perfect form and after some advice from the gremlin form. Her bouts of sweating and clumsiness continue despite this, because while she is improving, she's improving slowly, as people would in real life. She doesn't just magically become the perfect form of herself she wishes she could be, and in fact, she's still scared to let people know what she wants. Like she proved with her desire to become a storybook author that she desperately hid until confronted with it by Umaru's gremlin form. But she does continue forward despite all of this, sharing her desires with Umaru's gremlin form much easier than anybody else. She also even reveals her insecurities with a friend she looks up to, Umaru, and manages to not only not be shamed or ostracized like she feared so much, but she finds comfort in the embrace of her friend. Reserved and afraid to show herself as she normally is, this moment is the culmination that came from all her character development spent prior with Umaru. She bears her soul, and this lesson will no doubt cause her to become more confident in doing so in the future, even if it's slowly and step by step. Now, self-confidence is going to be a running theme here, as Ebina lacks it as much as Kirei does, though in a different direction. Ashamed of her past as a girl from the country, she covers up her accent, only revealing it to Umaru and the others by accident. But Umaru's perfect form accepts her strange way of talking, and even finds it a bit charming, just like everyone else who comes into contact with this cute little cinnamon roll. One of the more unique things about Ebina is that she doesn't get all her character development from just Umaru. But she also would have never gotten the advice she needed to ask for help from Taihei if she hadn't tried to be friends with Umaru in the first place, since with Umaru comes Sylphin in this particular case. So really, what Ebina desires most is friendship, and the confidence to be her own person and put more of herself out there in the world, which is something Sylphin has absolutely no issues with. Dressed in an anime's character clothing, and with a stereotypical shonen attitude toward life, Sylphin has trouble connecting with people. Wouldn't you guess it? A lot of this comes from her upbringing and watching anime, as she's from a rich family without many friends before, and getting social cues from the entertainment media of a culture isn't the best idea you could do. What this leads to is Sylphin trying very hard to compete with Umaru in school in hopes of making her a friend, since competition brought all kinds of anime characters together as rivals and eventually friends, so if it worked there, why not for her? And actually, this does eventually work when Umaru disguises herself as a Umar and befriends Sylphin with a game. Just like with Kirei, Sylphin gets advice and companionship from a form of Umaru that's separate from the rest, which ends up with Sylphin becoming part of the group of girls. And instead of constantly competing with all of them, Sylphin begins to realize that struggling together is the important thing, not necessarily just working at odds with one another. This even leads into a surprisingly mature thought of well wishes from her to Umaru when it comes to the exam Sylphin had challenged Umaru with previously, a moment the anime takes specific time to highlight, as this is the turning point for her character. And through all of this, Umaru learns from the rest of the girls. She's able to find a friend that shares her interests, without having to worry about her perfect identity becoming somehow spoiled by her interest in gaming through UMR and Sylphin's companionship. She comes to understand that her perfect self isn't the lonely and isolated existence she feared through the open warmness of Ebena's friendship. And finally, she realizes that she's not the only one with issues, and that her supposedly worthless self can still help and give advice to people she cares about with Kirei's apprenticeship. All of these aspects weave together to empower these characters, and Umaru starts to question her need to keep her identity separate. And in this, she's already beginning to show self-awareness, and aware of other people beyond what's simply expected of her as Umaru Doma, with care and concern for others taking precedence over her own happiness, in some cases, and a distinct questioning of what she can do to improve herself, especially in gremlin form. Now, this isn't something people will necessarily see unless they really look for it, because it's also true that Umaru and the rest of the cast regress and fulfill their initial character archetypes quite a lot throughout the series. But I would say that their regressions are what make the moments when they don't fulfill those archetypes that much more poignant, because they exist at all. People change slowly, and often fall back into their old habits, like I mentioned with Akko in my Little Witch Academia video. But they still do change, and Umaru and a group of friends are no different. You might not have been able to make it through the annoyance and lack of patience with the screeching, self-entitled brat of a meme machine that Umaru is so very often in the first season. But the second season is definitely showing progress in that regard. I don't blame you if you can't make it that far though, because people often hate what they know is in themselves, and Umaru's gremlin form embodies exactly what so many people try to avoid. Regardless of your opinions of the show and how it handles itself, I find the character development, while maybe slow to some people, to be rather intriguing and fun to watch. But that is just me. Umaru is a show people hate with a passion, much like Sword Art Online, but I can put aside my annoyance it very much contains within it to see the true heart of the inside of the show. These characters do grow, and I find that to be one of my favorite concepts in these stories anime are at their core. But if you disagree with me or even wonder why I made this video, let me know why in the comments below and I'll gladly debate with you. Or you can hit me up on my Twitter. You can also subscribe to my channel for more and hit that notification bell for up-to-the-minute updates on when another video of mine goes up. Also, if you can, remember to please support me on Patreon, because with YouTube cracking down on videos randomly, it's much harder for me to make more videos like I'd want to do, especially good ones. Anyway, even if you don't pay me to deliver you dumb opinions about anime, I'll always do it for free. And remember, always enjoy the way you watch anime, and media in general, because as long as you're having fun, that's all that really matters. I'll see you next time.